My motive isn't not eating, and partially because of that, I can be clear-minded in my approach to this, and I don't try to push out the days. Like, oh, I'm going to go 20 days, 21. So you should have no goals. You should have no actual goals that you're trying to achieve. And that allows you to have all the energy that you need to pay attention to life, and life will give you everything. Usually, it doesn't just give you something like, okay, here's the money, here's the thing, but it will make so apparent the direction that you need to go in and head in that it's so blatantly obvious, and you just do it, it works out perfectly. So you have a high success rate, 90%, close to 100%. But if you're trying to do the goals and you're blinded because you're missing this part, because you're focused on that, and then it's usually rooted out of insecurity and it's draining energy from you, so you have the energetic ability to focus on that and see and factor in all these things. So people end up having a lot of holes in their life.
When was the last time you ate?
Man, the last time I ate was July 25th, 2025. That was the last time I ate. It is now like February 19th, 2026. So yeah, like 200 something days ago, 207, 206, something like that days ago. Almost a year. It's almost been a year.
And you are not looking skinnier. You haven't been losing muscle. You actually look bigger. At least on the pictures, what I've seen.
I've actually gotten bigger. That's the crazy part. Like my muscles have gotten bigger, and like they're like more filled in and stuff like that. Yeah. My face is getting like plumper and younger, but like my muscles, I've gained probably like in Pakistan, my average was like 202 pounds, 203. Like here, I'm like 212. So I've gained like 10 pounds. I'm swollen kind of. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
Whoa, check this out. I saw this earlier today and I couldn't really wrap my head around it. This shows that 93.9% of people who are watching the show are not subscribed. So I just wanted to ask you to double check if you have already hit that subscribe button. That's the best way you can support the show and everything that we do here. And that's pretty much the only thing I will ever ask you to do. So hit that subscribe button and enjoy the episode.
It's crazy. But my strength is through the roof too. I tested it. Like I'll do like Mortal Kombat. Test your might. I'll like, do I still have it? Can I do it? And then, dude, everything's so effortless. I was in Sri Lanka. I was like scaling the freaking house and the climbing beams with like there was no rungs. Yeah, there's nothing to grab onto. Like there's just a flat little beam. I'm like able to grab it like this and pull myself up one by one. And I'm playing that back and watching him like, how am I even able to climb this? There's nothing to grab onto. It's like a little slither. I'm like holding with the pressure of my fingers, and I'm holding my entire body up like that. Boom, one after another, and I'm playing it back. I'm like, that's freaking crazy. But you don't notice it while you're in it until you can, like, we talked about this before the podcast, until you like look back and see like what just happened. It's almost like possession in a sense, but you know, that's a whole different story. But yeah.
Oh, but this is exactly what we are going to dive in, that how is it possible that you are doing? Because I think what people see from the outside is like, oh, fuck, like this man has not eaten for 200 days and he must have like a crazy strong willpower. But just from our conversations, it became very clear that it's not about willpower. It's more about the state that you are in. So I wanted to kick this off by asking, like, what do you think the internal permission or shift that has to happen on the identity level that's going to make you stop looking for food as your primary fuel?
Well, I mean, okay, cool. Great question. Food should be your primary source of fuel. So like for a person to want to eject and escape from that is occupying escapism. It's not that you don't want food to be your primary source. It doesn't matter what your primary source is. You just want to understand, one, what you're in reality. Everything is fuel. If this podcast is fuel, the sun is fuel, air is fuel. People, you're 60% oxygen. You're more air than you are solid mass. You're more oxygen than you are carbon. So just breathing gives you fuel. Like if you're ever tired, you can just breathe and get like more. That's better than an energy drink. So it's not even the fact that like people need to stop eating, and I never promote that. Okay, that's anorexia, guys. Please stop coming into my freaking DMs and saying, Mike, I haven't eaten in 3 days. That's bad. I want you to eat. I want you to eat so much that you stop becoming hungry. That's how it is. You don't deny yourself. You don't try. You don't do anything. You just understand what everything is. And then once you can operate it, because it does take the approach of acknowledgement to operate in the specific realm, because if you do it unconsciously, you don't get the benefits of it. You have to, when you approach all of this stuff, you have to do it consciously. When you consciously know the sun is energy, air is energy, water is energy, all this other stuff, then you actually get the full bit or a greater, larger benefit from it. But if you don't know, then you'll drink water or you'll sniff air, you'll breathe in air, and you won't even get the maximum potential out of it. Every absorption takes conscious observation and acknowledgement to extract the fullness of the energy that's kept inside. So if you don't know that, you don't want to stop eating food, and you never want to stop eating food. I personally don't even want to stop eating food. I just have so much freaking energy that I'm just not hungry yet. And I know the parameters of how to operate in life and do stuff. So therefore, it's been 200 and something days and I don't even count anymore. I really don't care. It's not even about not eating. It's about being able to collect all the energy that you possibly can and then utilize that internally and direct it towards your mental cognition so you can interpret reality correctly. The more clearly and coherent that you are in your interpretation of reality, the less faultiness, mess ups, mishaps, any sort of like wrong happens in your life and everything's aligned and perfect. The only reason you even want energy is so you can live the perfect life, so you stop making mistakes, so you stop hurting people or getting in wrecks or injuring yourself or whatever, or like wasting money or going into debt or like losing, I don't know, some sort of bad deal or something like that. Like the whole point to get energy is so you can be alive enough to pay attention, and whatever you pay attention on is the probability of reality. And whatever you, like the double slit, they say, the observation, blah, 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 wave particle, all that stuff. Whatever you're paying attention to, that's what's being fed. But if you don't have the energy to pay attention, then it's chaos that you're experiencing. And then chaos is depleting and it takes energy from you. Now you have to eat more energy to get more energy just to sustain on a base level. So the whole purpose of all this stuff is not to eat. It's not to eat, but to get as much energy as you possibly can so you can pay attention as focused and as attentive. I don't want to say disciplined or like honed in, but like you want to be able to pay quality attention to everything in your life because your attention fills the tank and that tank is your experience. But if you don't have enough energy to pay attention, then you're half-assed doing everything and everything's fucking up. Everything's messing up. Your relationship, your money, your this, your success, your business, blah, 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 blah. But you just pay anything good enough attention and it will succeed. Plants, businesses, children, relationship, your fucking self, your bank account, anything that you can pay quality attention to will succeed. So you're getting energy to pay attention so you can live in success.
It almost looks like a cycle, right? So by being aware that everything gives us energy, like air, light, all of that, because we are aware of it and we are able to almost like pay attention to that, that's what gives us the energy to pay attention so we can actually see those things. And this is how it actually kind of like recycles itself constantly. Did I get this right?
Something like that, but let's just take cycle out of it because people have a hard enough time understanding what I'm saying in the first place. Cycles are actually bad. You don't want cycles. You want to try to break as many cycles. I hate the word break, but you want to try to expand out of a cycle and go into a linear progression. Now you're going to hit a cycle in your life, but as soon as you can get out of that cycle, evolve and go into the next level. But yes, from what you're saying, if your audience can grasp this, this is going to revolutionize their life forever. They're going to make more money, have better sex, have a better relationship with their spouse, husband, wife, wife. It doesn't even matter. Polyamorous, have multiple lovers. It doesn't matter. If you can grasp what's being said right now, your life will forever be successful and you'll never be in poverty again, mentally, spiritually, financially, in every single way. When you understand, like you just said, everything is energy. It's not that it's a cycle. It's just that you're like hungry hippos. You're like absorbing and taking it in, and it's going out and it's becoming something else. And you're taking in the light, you're taking in the sun, you're taking in the air, you're taking in the food, you're taking in the drink, it's passing through you. And there's a time period that the energy is in you. What are you focused on while that energy is in you? What did that animal have to die for it to charge your heart and your mind? Was it to look at porn? That cow died and you ate the steak so you can fucking jack off, or when your life ends, you find out you've spent fucking 16 months straight jacking off like throughout your entire life of 70 years. It's like, so why did that animal die? Why did that plant live? Why was this? So when that energy is inside of you, what are you set on? Because it's only going to stay in you for so long, and it powers that action, and then there's metabolic waste, and then it goes out. You have to eat new energy, take in new energy, absorb new energy. So it's more, instead of a cycle, it's like a linear path, because you don't eat, because technically, not in our lifetime, probably, you probably wouldn't intake energy, shit it out, and then whatever that shit creates, eat that again. So that would be like a real cycle. So usually it's a linear path. Yeah, I know. So like something's born, created, grown, you eat it, consume it, you shit, and then you're off to the next thing, off to the next thing, off to the next thing. So it's more of a linear path. But in that linear path, there's supposed to be an expanse. So when you ate that fucking cow or that chicken, you now have the responsibility of growth. That cow's life was not in vain. That chicken's life was not in vain. That plant, that fruit, that vegetable, it didn't grow in vain, but it grew for the expanse of you. So then you can therefore look back and say, if that animal that died could see me now, it would be proud because I made more of it than just wasting it, whatever that may be. So it's more of a linear path of expanse, like a cone shape, kind of like the Big Bang, how it shows the timeline of it. It's like a dot, a pinpoint, it goes out like that. That's what our life is supposed to be if we do energy right. But most of us give up after 25 or after we get married, and then our life, instead of an expanse, it becomes a contraction, and then we live life partially dead, and then we age and we die. I'm almost 40. I don't look 40. I was out yesterday talking to a 40-year-old, and they asked me, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm almost 40. And they're like, what? They're like, I'm 40. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm actually 37. They're like, I thought you were like 20, 24, 25. Like if I had my hat on or something like that. I'll show you later. But if I have my hat on, people think I'm like 25 years old. Because life is supposed to be the expanse. 25 is the reference point of how you're supposed to be sustained in reality when you're actually utilizing energy. But if you're not, you're at a detriment. That's why you have a wrinkle. The wrinkle is the irresponsibility of the energy while you contained it. It was supposed to go towards life, but you spent it doing drugs or gambling or smoking or partying or whatever. But when you live for what life actually is, you look alive, even if you don't eat for 200 something days. I'm living off the food I ate last July because that's how efficient it became with my energy. So yeah.
For the average person, that sounds absolutely crazy. And that's exactly why I'm also trying to understand like what's happening internally and what's happening in your mind, what's happening in your body, that how are you actually able to stay alive, and not just to stay alive, but look the way you look, right? So it almost seems like to me, again, just like trying to conceptualize it so I also understand it. But you have a certain amount of energy, and the very act of spending that energy is what's regenerating that energy. So rather than we are just like spilling that energy out and wasting it, we are directing it to things that's going to bounce back to us in form of energy again. So it almost like refuels us.
Yes, exactly. So just like you're saying, like when we actually take account for every iota or unit of energy and invest it into life, we get a greater return than a deficit. Even though we spent, we get a return back. It's reciprocity in motion through life. But anything we spend on, some of our actions actually cost us more. So to buy something cheap, right? Like I learned this success thing a long time ago from some book somewhere. You pay twice for something cheap. When you buy something cheap, you have to pay for money to go get it, drive to get it, buy it, you have it, it breaks in a month. Now you have to go spend the same amount to go buy that thing again, or you can buy something of quality and it lasts you for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe even 5 years, and it comes with a warranty. So if it breaks, they'll give you a new one and ship it to you. Our energy in our life is the same way. Our actions are either reciprocating more life to us, or we're operating in a deficit and it's taking life from us, multiplied, compounded in every single action. Every time a man spills his seed, and there's nothing wrong, guys, I'm not saying feel guilty, you fucking semen retention, that's not what I'm saying at all. But if you're going to spill your seed, at least spill it in a way, eject it in a way that's going to bring back energy to you. maybe in the day, maybe not looking at porn, maybe whatever it is. Okay, you are your own whatever. So bless yourself, right? So if that energy is used in worrying, doubt, fear, mentally, physically, emotionally, verbally, like, do I need to talk this loud, or can I just actually lower my voice so I get to preserve the energy and I can do more with less volume, less words? Everything in our life has to be actualized, and if it's not, there will be many deficits all through our life, emotionally, mentally, cognitively, verbally, in our tonality, auditorily, like in our volume, in our metrics, in the way that we move. Are we tripping a lot? If you trip, then you have to pick yourself back up. You have to keep picking yourself. You have to keep. And then you look back, that was 20 years of your fucking life that you just lost from talking too loud, tripping too much, being too unstable, or like having instability in your emotions. That cost you 20 years of your life. You could have lived an extra 20 years if you would have taken account for all that energy. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes work. But at the end of it, you're a super genius, cognitive genius, and you're able to see problems before they happen, and you can redirect the trajectory of your life and spare your family of the despair. You don't have to go through bullshit. You don't have to go through problems. Like, I found this out living this life. You don't have to have a problem. You only have problems because you don't have enough energy to pay attention. But if you pay attention, you'll see every storm coming, every tornado, every rain cloud, every hurricane, every monsoon. Even the fucking animals know if an earthquake's about to happen, they all get the fuck out of there. They get the fuck. I don't know if I can cuss, but I'll chill if you want me to. But like they get out because they have enough energy that they can pick up on the subtle signals. But if you're so weak, you can't even smell the rain. You can't even feel the charge in the air, the static electricity before the lightning storm. You'll be outside by a tree and get struck. Now, the probability of that happening are very low, but that's your problems in life. You hit the pothole that tore your car up because you weren't paying attention. You broke up with the girl or the guy because they were giving you all the fucking red flags, but you weren't paying attention. When you have energy, you have enough cognitive resources to be able to see things and create a trajectory to at least avoid calamity, resolve it before it happens, or just completely eject from the scenario altogether. And it all relies on your ability to pay attention. So in this life, yeah, you want to get energy, not just so you lose 5 pounds or get some abs or have muscles or can go 20 fucking days without eating or 200 days, but so you stop living in hell. This is our playground, and you are experiencing the pregame of heaven or hell right now. So whatever you're going to live right now, it's not going to get any better after this. It's going to be magnified. The afterlife only magnifies the life that you're currently living. You don't have to wait to be blessed. You don't have to live in a curse. Right now, you can either be blessed right now if you pay attention, or you can be cursed if you want to engage in ignorance. But it's all down to, are you paying attention or not? Because that's all life is. All life is you paying attention. That's all you can do in life. You can move your hands, you can jump up and down, you can do this, but at the end of the day, you're just paying attention. And the more energy you have, the wider your scope becomes and the more you can see. So you get the energy to pay attention, and that's what life is.
And is it more like a conscious effort to pay attention to the things, or does just this happen naturally when you are in this state that we are discussing now? What if the t-shirt you are wearing right now could help you recover faster and boost your performance without adding more to-dos to your routine? Well, this is exactly what Intelligent Threads can do for you. It's trusted by professional athletes, and it's also one of my favorite gears as well. They have something called tension release technology, a form of quantum frequency tech deeply embedded into the fibers of the clothing, allowing your muscles to relax and your body to shift back into its natural alignment. When I tested it with a professional sport therapist, we saw a 70% increase in muscle strength and a 40 degrees improvement in range of motion. It is not masking the pain, it is helping your nervous system to shift into a parasympathetic state so you can heal and sleep better. During my 30 days test, my deep sleep hit a 2-year high and my readiness score was practically the best it has ever been. It is literally as simple as putting on a t-shirt, no appointments, no additional equipment needed. Now you can get 10% off your entire order by going to the link in the description below or heading to intelligentthreads.com/Adam and using the code Adam at checkout. That's again, intelligentthreads.com/Adam using the code Adam at checkout. And now back to the episode.
It's symbiotic. So as you're in the state, you're going to be able to pay attention more, and you'll get subtle cues. Like the other day, I was hanging out with this girl, right? And we go and we're like finding her like a new hotel to like stay in because she's like here in India. She's like traveling and stuff. I go into the hotel front office desk area, and the receptionist, I look at her in the eyes. I could feel the energy from her. And I'm like, is your name Susie? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, I picked the energy up. She's like, actually, my English name that I work with when I work online and like abroad, my name is Susie, so people know my name. So my private name that I use to go and work is actually Susie, but my Indian name is this. But that's the name I use when I go out and go global, so people understand me. The girl I was with, she flipped the fuck out. She's like, because there's no name tag on this lady or anything, and we both walked in there together. Like we were just a random ass hotel. There's no reason for me to know this, but the subtle cues of the energy told me this. Now, was I paying attention to try to do this? No, it just told me. But in the state I was in, I was sensitive enough to pick up Susie, whatever that means. Now, I can apply my own mental cognition on something to extract data from it, but it's a symbiotic tie. It's subconscious and conscious. It's top of mind, it's back of mind. And when you understand that the moment is the axis that balance both the seen and unseen, then you can live in a dual state. You live in polarity versus being far on one side or the other. So whenever you do this, your subconscious is picking up stuff so you can pay attention to stuff. It'll tell you what to start paying attention to. So in the guide, we talk about the harmonic state, entering it. When you have enough energy, you're automatically there. You're just going to have this energy at your disposal. If you're a wise steward with your energy, you're going to put it on things of life. If you get this energy and then you squander it, you can use this and go gamble and like have enough money to stay up for like 2 or 3 days at the slots or the crabs table or whatever the fuck it's called. Or you can use this to structure your life to where you get the fuck out of the matrix that people calls it, and then create a life that sends you revenue, sends you income without actually having to apply yourself to it. So now it no longer lives off your life force, but the creation of your consciousness because you're in that harmonic state. So yeah, you do pay attention, but at the same time, it's still your unconscious receiving signals because you have enough energy to expand out to see the subtleties that's in your field. So it's both.
So I have a question on that. So we talked about a lot of external stuff. So what I'm wondering about is that how much of that energy expenditure actually is directed towards external environment versus internal environment?
I'm trying to say this without being like facetious or haughty or anything like that. I'm usually the most conscious person in the room. So I will notice a piece of fucking dust that crumbed off of their food that was left on the floor in the corner that rolled under the couch. No one ever loses anything around me. Like, here's a good example, and I'll get to the point of why I'm sharing this. So that same girl, right? We did find her a hotel, and she was carrying her luggage to the hotel, and then we went upstairs, and then she got up there. She's like, "Man, I lost my lock. Like where did my lock go?" And I said, "Oh, was it a yellow combination lock?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, I saw one of those outside on the patio of the front of the hotel by the like couch lounging area before we came upstairs, but I didn't know it was yours." So even as I'm just going to new places, random places, I'm noticing everything in my environment. So like, I don't know what my brain wants to do with those details, but they're at least there, and they're like cached for maybe like 12 hours or so. I didn't know her lock. I didn't know that was her lock, but my mind picked it up. So when she said lock, last lock was here, boom, 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 boom. Is this your lock? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go get it. So I got her lock for her. But people around me usually don't lose stuff, or it doesn't stay lost, because for some reason, the same energy is like, I can find people's keys, this or the locks there. Like nothing ever gets lost. Well, for one, think about how much money you'd save if like nothing was lost anymore. You'd actually wouldn't lose money either. But a lot of it in the environment is subconscious, and I wait for my man. This is so cool to be able to talk about. I've never talked about this before, so like this is my first time. I'm glad I'm sharing it on your podcast. I've never shared this before. But if you come to the point where you finally trust yourself, because most people's energetic depletion comes from not trusting themselves and doubting. They fear. Like you don't like, they're like, I want to be rich. And I'm like, well, if you want to be rich, you would. Because you're not, that's what you actually want. Because if you were rich, you probably wouldn't trust yourself. You think you waste the money, blow the money, ruin relationships or whatever. Like the person's only in the state that they actually want to be in, even in physical reality. So if a person's not rich, it's because they don't want to be rich. If a person is sick, it's because they want to be sick, because that's what they're putting out. So a lot of people don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves with success or health in a relationship, and that just depletes the fuck out of them. That's where most of their energy is going, towards feeding their doubt. So when they pick up these signals from their environment, they don't even trust it. They don't storage it because they don't believe it. They have engaged in psychosis, thinking that they witnessed or experienced something that wasn't true. So therefore, when they go back and check it, it actually was not what they thought. So they don't trust themselves. They can't, because they lie to themselves. And they go back and forth. I want this, and inside they don't. And they'll spend 5 years of energy just going back and forth saying, I want to be rich, when they don't. When that energy could have been consolidated, directed, and even though they may not be a multimillionaire, they're still wealthy. So the energy in itself doesn't necessarily go towards the environment or the atmosphere, but it does go towards picking things up until you have a signal inside of you that alerts you. When it goes off, then you pay attention to it. You can only pay attention to it if you know yourself, if you trust yourself and you haven't been lying to yourself. If you're living in a delusion, if you're living in a lie, if you're willing to lie to yourself, if you don't look in the mirror every day, if you can't look at yourself in the eyes, if you can't even say certain things to yourself without being triggered or falling apart, then you're not going to build up enough trust to operate in the efficiency of energy to where you can pick up these cues, what's in your reality. But once you align yourself, forgive yourself, live with yourself. We were talking about like trauma, that the other episode, like, man, people will just live in trauma, that their trauma is the reason why they won't trust themselves. Because they go, well, I have trauma. Well, as long as they say that, they're not going to trust, because they think the trauma is the reason that they don't have the success or whatever. So therefore, that trauma is tied to them not trusting themselves, because this event happened, and therefore they live in dissonance all their life. It's going back and forth. So even though their body's trying to pick up the lock, remember, she lost the lock, not me. I didn't lose her lock. But because my conscious is, aware of these things, I was able to find it for her. How many other things has she lost when I wasn't there? Like no qualms on the girl, or like no hate. It's very normal to lose stuff. I'm not even like blaming her. It's not like that. But I'm saying, like, if she'll lose a lock locks. Just lock your lock and you won't lose your lock. Like, it's so easy to just click it, and then like literally it's the thing that's supposed to not be lost, because it's supposed to protect your stuff. If you can lose something that's supposed to protect you, then how open are you? So in that same moment, she's probably lost this and that and that and this and this and that, because there's so much inside of her that's confusing her or him or whoever it is in life, that, guess what? Their life looks like, okay, I can't trust myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, but it doesn't work out, and blah, 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 blah. And then they become tired. They become drained, and they become aged. And even if their energy or their consciousness picks up something from reality, they won't even trust that they really saw it. Or if they do, they'll morph it into a projection of psychosis to think they saw something that they didn't actually see. So yes, it does. But at the same time, you still have to pay attention.
So if I get it correctly, it's still mainly the internal environment that we have to pay attention to, as like our internal environment is acting as a filter and sending information to our brain that's being picked up from the environment, so we actually understand what's happening around us.
I'll make this super short. So what happens is our body absorbs everything. Smoke, air, signals. Like if I hug a girl with perfume, I will smell like perfume. Okay. Like you can't be around it and not get it in you. Okay. Like whatever it is. So your body is constantly absorbing everything in the environment. The color, the smell, like bright yellows will make you more sporadic. Calming, cool colors like khaki or tan and like pistachio colors will calm you down because your eyes are absorbing it. So once you absorb something, your body stores it, and anything that it's storing that may be a threat or a danger or like, hey, like keep this in mind, it will send an alert to you. And then with your conscious mind, you can like, hey, we have like what do they call it? Some sort of like note, like, hey, we have like a note for you or something like that. You should pay attention to this. Most people never even get to that part because they're so occupied and worried about stress and this and that's not even real. 99% of people's worries have never even happened, and it wasn't even helped by worrying about it. It actually makes it worse to worry. So because they're so caught up here, they're not connected here. So when it does send that signal, they miss it. And that's why they do lose the thing, or they didn't get the opportunity, or it didn't work, or like, well, I tried my best. No, you don't have to try at all. All you have to do is pay attention.
I think that's what my question was aiming for, is that how much of that energy or how much of that attention is being directed to the external environment versus the internal environment, because people can have storm inside of them as well, right? So let me simplify this then. Maybe like, what's the internal weather or the internal environment that someone needs to cultivate to experience the state that you are in right now?
I mean, I'm far in it, so like, hey, like guys, don't start where I am, okay? Like that's it'd probably like make you cry, because there will be like days I'll like stay up for like 2 or 3 days sometimes. Like, what? You don't eat for 200 days, you stay up for 3 days? Like, I can't do that. It's like that. No, I'm far. Like, don't start here. But ultimately, you want to come to the point where you just acknowledge. The first thing is acknowledgement. The first thing that the state you want to be in is full, unbiased acknowledgement of what's going on inside of you, and you're not going to know that now. I'm still acknowledging stuff inside of me that I've been denying for however long. So it's not that like, oh yeah, I did that. No, it's what you stay in. I'm staying like, am I insecure right now? Speaking with Adam on this, I need to prove myself and say this. It's a constant acknowledgement of what's happening inside of me. And that's the beginning steps of it. So self-acknowledgement. You have to look yourself in the eyes. You have to be able to look yourself in the pupils. You have to be able to admit good, bad, ugly, whatever, unbiasedly, but also non-judgmental towards yourself. You're not going to judge yourself. You just, hey, I feel like this. I feel like a piece of shit. I feel amazing. I feel like a fucking god and a king. I feel like a peasant and worthless. But you have to at least, if you don't, you can't solve, fix, or redirect something that you don't acknowledge. So the first step is always go inside, learn how to see what's inside of you, which I teach in the Discord community, and then you acknowledge that.
So, like, what happens in you internally is actually projected to the external environment that other people pick up on.
100%, and the amount of energy that's correlated or dedicated to internal versus external. But it is both. You have to, because the main point about everything is, it's like the subtitle of the guide, everything affects everything. So you have to be as aware externally as possible and aware as internally as possible. But to do that state that we were talking about, you have to first acknowledge yourself. You're saying, hey, what's like, how do you get in that state? Like, what state is that for people internally? You were asking. Well, that first step is acknowledgement. So you have to look inside, and you have to be not brutally honest with you. Actually, that's a good point there. You have to be even aware of the words that you use to yourself, like on yourself, to yourself, speaking with yourself, brutally honest, life hack, hacking, biohacking, life hacking, brutally honest, grit, willpower, force, all this other stuff, because that's going to be the way that you engage with yourself. I don't say brutally honest, but you have to go in and be completely transparent and open and willing with yourself. Like, hey, look, I'm feeling like this. When you can go inside, acknowledge yourself and see what's going on, you actually, I love, because I've been in relationships almost all my life, right? Or like at least like half my life, right? So if I'm like, I've been in relationships almost longer than I lived with my parents growing up, right? So in the same way, a man needs to treat a woman like a flower. And when he creates the season, the flower blooms. But if the man is cold and harsh like winter, the flower closes and withers. The man is that sunshine, that array of sunshine on a woman's life to make her open up. Men do not have to open their legs to do the deed. Women have to open up. Guys can stand up straight, legs closed, legs crossed. It doesn't matter. If it's going up, it's going up. Women have to excite men, which is not too hard nowadays in like 2026. Like no one has control over their consciousness because everything else. But either way, but on the opposite side, women are the ones who open themselves. And we, in our subconscious, is the woman part, while the conscious, the forethought, or like what's in front of us, is the man. So you have the masculine and you have the feminine, right? Because your consciousness is directed, it wants to go. But your subconscious, a lot of people don't trust themselves, so it stays closed, it stays suppressed, it stays down there, and people call that trauma. It's not trauma, it's just unacknowledged, unresolved, unknown energy that's banked in there, and it's just it's starting to fester, it's starting to be irritated, it's starting to expire. Energy that doesn't move becomes detrimental. It can hurt the body. It can build up and create lumps and masses, possibly even tumors or cysts or things like that, even from mental or past events. So if a person doesn't understand they are both male and female, at least internally in the intangible realm, they won't understand that they need to even come to a point where they can trust themselves so they can open up. If your subconscious opens up, but when you open up, like, man, why you being a little bitch? Fucking pussy. What's wrong with you? Like, what are you, like, wait, are we gonna cry? Your conscious won't open up, and it'll just harden that shit and it'll calcify. I'm not saying that you have to be super emotional or like, oh, I'm so sorry, me, and like look at yourself in the eyes and like cry. If that's your thing, cool. But if you judge yourself before you even know, it won't show you anything else. That door will be closed. So you have to garner trust with yourself to even be able to look inside, to even see what to acknowledge. If you don't even have trust with yourself, you won't show yourself shit. So you have to develop trust with yourself, which is stop lying, being honest, tell yourself the truth, tell yourself how you actually feel. Even if down here doesn't expose anything, like in your subconscious, just do it consciously. Hey, look, I know I've done some shit. I'm here with you. We're gonna get past this. That's why the first method in the guide, so after the toxins and stuff like that, the first method, self-love. So I give you a self-love decree. You look in the mirror and just say this. You're not declaring, saying, oh, I'm rich, oh, I'm healthy, none of that BS. But you're looking in the fucking mirror and you're looking yourself in the eyes and saying, hey, look, I'm going to be here for you. And you're saying these specific words. So even if your subconscious doesn't open up, like, hey, if the girl doesn't open up on the first date, which is stupid anyway, fuck going on a date to have sex, go on the date to have a date, to have an experience. That's what creates more trust. God, I didn't plan on giving dating advice, but guys, a woman will be more attracted to you if you go without intentions. Hey, look, I'm here just to experience. Because every guy they have one. I was with another girl yesterday, and she said the same thing. Every guy's so ready, and they can feel it. They're like they can feel, and they can feel it. Women are sensitive, emotional beings who are more receptive than us guys because we primarily operate here. Women, I'm not saying they operate in the subconscious realm, but more of the emotional realm, right? They have the breasts, they have the emotions, they lack, they have the stuff. Men, we're hard. How do we have sex? We get hard. Women open up, they get soft. It's water and emotions. When a dude, a guy goes on a date without any intentions for what's after the date, but they can just enjoy the date, the after will always be more rewarding than if you went in to try to score. Here's another point. Here's another tally. Oh, I got her to open and all this other stuff. Because the point should never even be that. The point should be the longevity. Where will we be in 20 years? I want to build something. I want to create something. I want a partner. And they can feel that even if they don't know it. They can still feel it. And they may even go home with you or you go home with them. And you may even do that. But it's only a matter of time before you guys didn't get on the same resonance with each other, that you guys break up and now you fucking hate each other. Now you have to go out and do it again. And that's the cycle. Because you never learn. It's just about authenticity, about going and just being yourself and living in that moment. There is nothing for me in this podcast that I'm expecting afterwards. I came on this podcast to be here with you present right now. And if people buy the guide, cool. If they go to the Discord, cool. And if not, it's this moment. I didn't know what I was going to say or really what you're going to ask me, but what is this moment calling for right now that always produces the best results? And if you live authentic, if you live in authenticity, you will not have your vitality or your youth robbed from you. But the most inauthentic people look the oldest, age the fastest. People are just about to sell or want to sell something. They always want to fucking sell. They always want to fucking, one more dollar in the bank account or something like that. Oh, I just want to get in their pants. Oh, I just want to age the fastest.
Hey, just a quick one. Just wanted to make sure you have already subscribed. If you haven't, please do. And now back to the episode.
Usually in finance, usually with cause I was in finance, so I hung around people. Hey, everyone's great. We all have our problems. That's why we end up in our paths of life, because a product of the environment and everything, right? Like everything plays a role. But those who are just trying to finagle numbers and finesse people usually are the ones who end up aging the fastest and the most rapid, because they don't have that trust with themselves, because they know that they did things to other people. So therefore, the more that you do to other people, the more that you don't trust yourself because you know what you did, the faster they age. So when they're 40, wrinkles galore. They look like they're fucking, dude. I was on a dating app and I saw some of the girls, God bless them. These girls, I think like, dude, this girl looks like she's about 40. She's fucking 22. And again, no hate towards anybody, but you can start accelerating the aging by how fast you're lying. Now these kids are coming out and they're hitting puberty at like a super young age because of all the xenotoxins or estrogens and like everything else in the environment. Now they're coming out of the theta state into a beta cognition, sometimes even gamma. They're so hyper, but like it's erratic, that they know how to lie consciously, not just like, okay, like theta kids, like a kid who's 2 doesn't know how to lie, but they understand. But now when you come into beta cognition or even gamma, they're lying on purpose with intentions for the after versus living in the moment. Now these kids, by the time they're 12 or even 10, they hit puberty. By the time they're 22, they look like they're 25. But actually, some of the kids look like, I've seen people in school, they look like they're 20, but they're like a 14-year-old kid. That's how much lying has been packed on these people at a young age. So now by the time they're 25, they look like they're almost 40. Because that energy is distorted. Any distorted energy distorts your physical matter, because your physical matter is the representation of energy. So if you're distorted internally, it's expressed externally, physically, and then that's where the wrinkles, the aging, the loss of vitality comes from. But if you can hone in, create that harmonious state inside, tell the truth, be the truth, live the truth, there's no detriment, distortion, or dissonance in you, and you keep your vitality. The whole point, like we said in our other podcasts, was like, hey, live to 1,000 years, live to 10,000 years, live to 1,000,000 years. You can only do that if you're not dying. If I came on this podcast and I look older now than I did a year ago, I'd be a liar. I'm pretty sure that if anyone compares this podcast to our first or second podcast or any of the podcasts in the past, I look younger now than I did then. But I do less now, and I don't even eat as much. I almost do nothing, kind of. But the energy has been so pure that I've been able to live off of it. And now that's reflecting. If there's any wrinkle, if there's any grays or anything like that, oh, he's a liar. But if we come today and I look younger, oh, there might be some substance to what he's saying.
You mentioned that authenticity almost like equals effortless longevity. So at least that was the takeaway what I had. That it takes more energy from me to actually be someone else who I'm not than being the person who I am. So at the end of the day, what still matters is like how we spend all of that energy. And the way we started this conversation was about not eating for 200 plus days, right? And when I look at our daily lives, so much of our energy is actually geared towards eating, feeding ourselves, digesting that food, going shopping, doing all of that. So I assume by not eating for 200 plus days, that freed up a lot of space, right? In terms of time, energy, and maybe extra space in your mind as well. So I'm just wondering that what have you noticed or what have you discovered that started occupying that empty space in your mind that normally people spend on feeding themselves?
That's kind of hard to say because this life going into it is a progression. So it's almost like you forgot. Like, okay, cool. This is perfect. If you grow up with like a brother or a sister and you see them grow up, it's not that big to you. Like you see them progressively grow every single day, so there's nothing that you notice. But if a cousin comes over that you haven't seen in like 5 years and they were like 5 years old, now they're 10, or maybe even like a teenager now, like 13, you can clearly see the growth. Because I'm in this state so continuously, it's real, and I'm not focused on the past. I don't really like focus on, oh man, like if something comes up, yes, I'll address it and everything else, but my sight is not really to the past, and I don't spend too much time in the future. I try to be as coherent in the moment as possible. That's where the money's at. All your money, all your success, all your wealth and health is right now. It's not like, oh man, maybe one day in the future, okay, maybe this will hit, maybe this will happen. Every manifestation, right? Manifestation happens in the present. So if it's gauged on, let's say that here's, I have some coffee here. Your manifestation is gauged on the present and however full your cup gets of that um, capacitor of life. That's when it spills over. That's when you get it. So if you just stay focused on the now, you can have everything. You can have more money or more whatever. So I try not to think about what the differences are as far as my mental cognition and what's occupying my mind from the past versus on what is life telling me right now. But some of the things I used to be focused on was like paying bills and money and does this person like me and like what do they think and all this other stuff. I don't know if not eating has assisted with that, but because I don't spend as much time let's say like consuming like food or whatever or like watching content or something like that, I'm actually more volatile to having thoughts come in. So I have to be more fortified in my mental structure because I have so much free time. It's almost like idle hands are the devil's playground. Well, there it's very true. If you have a lot of time, that's when like negative thoughts can come in. But that's not bad that negative thoughts come in. This is showing you the state of your fortitude in your mental fortress capacity before you start atrophying or having or obtaining entertaining these negative thoughts. So they're not bad. I let negative thoughts come in if they can, because I allow that to show me where my cracks are. Where do I need to fortify? Where do I need to strengthen? Where do I need to rebuild and like remodel? So it's actually the opposite. Since I'm not eating as much, since I have a lot of free time, since I meditate so much, I'm more prone to at least seeing things kind of fly over me versus if I was busy, out of sight, out of mind, but nonetheless, it's still in the subconscious. So when we eat, we're most likely eating to comfort ourselves because there's something coming at our door. So I don't know if I have less bad thoughts than people or like whatever, like, those old thoughts, but because I'm not as occupied, I have to face them more because I can feel myself, man. I feel like I'm on a tissue paper length of like breaking. I feel the strongest I've ever felt before in my life, but I feel like simultaneously it could all crumble in a second if I just have the wrong thought. The higher you go up on the mountain, the thinner the peak. The thinner it is, the higher you go up, the less margin for error that you have. So I have to actually do the opposite. I have to acknowledge all this stuff all the time, always. So I think I actually have more. Maybe I don't have more, but I'm aware of more because there's less things occupying my space. If you have last thing here, if you have a messy room, you can't find the bug. If there's like a roach in the house or some shit like that, like a beetle or something, if you have a mess everywhere, you can't see it. But if you have an empty room, you can clearly spot it. That's what the mind becomes. When the room becomes empty, you can spot every bug, every critter, every pest or rodent. It's very easy to see, and it's also very easy to deal with. But also, you'll start seeing more of them because the room's so clean.
So that's happening on the mental level. What do you think it's happening on the physical level? Because like one thing that really stood out is again, like, you're gaining muscles, you are heavier and you are more fuller and all of that. And science tells that muscles require protein and calories and all of that.
I'll definitely share what I have witnessed so far and what I've seen. That's it. Everything's up in the air. You can use the metric system. You can use the imperial system. It doesn't matter. There are two different systems of measurement, but they both can be applied. You can be spiritual. You can be scientific. You can be orthodox. You can be unorthodox. It doesn't matter. We are all put into a sandbox playground. The guru is cool. The scientist is cool. The engineer is cool. The life coach is cool. Whatever realm you want to operate in suffices for the pathway of that specific life. Now, I say that because if a person wants to go down a scientific route and say that stuff, cool. IDGF or GAF. I don't care. I do not, whatever. I'm not here to try to prove stuff to people or whatever. I'm noticing that when a person needs exterior validation or confirmation from something, from some other source, after they've already developed that connection in hearing reality, because at the end of the day, science could not tell me that woman's name was Susie. It couldn't. There's no scientific method that we could have applied. Maybe a deduction, but there were no pieces of evidence in that specific reception area for the hotel to tell me this lady's name is Susie. Science, how would I know that? So if I'm starting from, I'm only going to engage in the past history of what's already been validated, I'm living not in the present. And that's when people age. I don't see anyone who is scientific who I would trade lives with, body, skin, or anything like that. There's not one person who I see doing any of the scientific stuff. Hey, I'm a Capricorn. I'm very logical. I've always been a logical guy. I love math. I love numbers. I've always been great in math. I've always made straight A's. I love school. People would go to school and they would hate school. I love school. I love learning. So I'm not even getting knowledge, education, and everything like that. Even institutionalized education is still education, and there's a benefit to everything. College and everything else. Like whatever people want to do it. But I'm noticing that whoever operates in that specific realm has their life force taken from them to give it in the worship in that realm, and that's why it lives. Science lives because someone else gave their life for it. When you actually see that, you say, okay, cool, yeah, that's a great thing, Mr. Nobel Prize winner. This is great. I love it. Thank you so much for curing malaria or whatever it is. But that person has the Shang Tsung soul-sucking face. Their life, their vitality is sucked out of them. And they're not, my friends are doctors. I met engineers and scientists. Every one of them looks like the soul is slowly being siphoned out. Not too much, or they'd notice, but just enough every single day. That gray wrinkle, this, that, all this other stuff, because that vitality is being taken from them. I personally cannot, if I'm going to sustain this life, live in a way of operating in that realm if I want to be here. I have to completely void that, deny it, negate it from my life. If you want to do it, cool. But I can only live this life. And this is what tells me, hey, her name's Susie. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. And then at the end of the day, after a year, I look younger. After 2 years, I look younger now at 37 than I did at 28. I look younger now, fresher. I shaved my head just for like access and like easy, like my hair actually grew back. I was bald here. I didn't have any hair. My hair grew back. But as far as skin quality, I look near the same as when I was 19 years old. As a 19-year-old, I was like, I could buy alcohol if I wanted to. I was like a mature 19-year-old. I look similar to my 19-year-old self. I look younger now than I did it in my late 20s. And I look closer to my teenage self, 19. So it's not about calories. Now, I said all that to set this up because that has to be said, because people worship their God. People want something. When people don't love themselves, they worship a god. I'm not saying gods don't exist. I'm not saying this religion. I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm saying people become so infatuated and fanatic about whatever it is they can focus on, so they don't focus on themselves because of insecurity. No, science says you're wrong. They will die for this. I'm like, why would you be so emotional towards me if you don't even know me about science or about this? No, you have to do a caloric deficit. No. I see people arguing about it all the time. I have the spiritual people arguing. I have the scientific people arguing. It's everyone. Oh, you got to do from the, oh, no, your chakras, bro. When you do awaken your kundalini. I don't believe in the fucking kundalini. I don't believe in the kundalini. I don't believe in calories. But I look better than the people who do. I'm at fucking 40. I don't believe in kundalini. I don't believe in trauma. I don't believe in calories. And I don't believe in hypertrophy in the metrics of working out and like, anaerobic movements and everything like that. So whatever. So that's why I set this up. So now that I set that up, I never, ever think in terms of calories. I don't count calories. I don't think about calories. It's a very inefficient because everything is a cell or a container. It's a very inefficient container to put my energy into because when you base your life off a number, you gave your soul to a sigil. And whether people believe in demon possession or whatever, when you give your life to the sigil, it lives and not you. So if I focus on calories, when I did back in the past, I age, I get depleted, I get tired. It's easy to count calories, but you do it every day, it just
it still takes energy from you.
It steals energy from you. So like you count the calorie and you lose more energy. Now I don't count calories and I have more energy. So there's certain things I never, ever think about. Fasting. I don't think about fasting. How many days? I don't really care. Numbers. Don't think about numbers. Numerology is kind of cool because there's some I've seen some cool, insightful things of numerology that lined up perfectly. But as far as counting, I need to count. I need 1 lover, 2 lover, 3 lover, 4. Anytime I need 100,000, 20,000, 50 million, whatever. You end up giving your life to that thing because each symbol is empty and it needs the life force of a conscious being to exist. Same thing with religion, same thing with numbers, any sign, any symbol, any calorie, anything. So I avoid the counting of calories. Now I still drink juice and I'm like everything's the same. I actually drink less juice now than I did back then. I actually drink less. I used to drink probably twice as much juice, like apple juice or whatever, tea and all the other stuff. I actually drink less now than I did back then. And I'm here. So, Mikey, how are you doing it? How are you doing this if you're intaking less calories and everything else? Well, one, there's so many routes I want to go down this. One, if you come to the point where you're trying to prove what you're doing, you're automatically in a position to where you don't believe yourself and you won't get it anyway. So what I mean by that is this. You resisting yourself because you don't believe negates the probability of the outcome being the thing that you want to believe for. So you don't need to doubt or let me scrutinize this to make sure it works. One, either don't do anything so detrimental that if it didn't work, it would destroy your life. Don't do anything stupid. There's nothing big I do. I don't make big decisions and big things. It's everything I do is very basic. Okay, it's the top of the hour. Do I want to eat now? No? Okay, no. I just been doing that for 200 days. Every hour, check, hey, do I eat now? No. It's not I'm going to go on this long journey, this long thing, this big thing, and I'm going to hold on and grip my teeth because when you do, you end up becoming blinded to what's happening because you're so focused on achieving this thing, which is likely rooted in insecurity, which is the reason the action was birthed in the first place. And anything in death cannot create life, so you couldn't go 200 days. Because the whole reason you do it was because you're dying. The only way to go 200 days is because you're so alive. So those are some metrics. They're very hard to grasp. This is an intermediate level of perception and attainment of operating in this way. But if you want to go a route, but you're already resisting yourself because you doubt, the thing to do is not go the route, but to reflect inward. Why do I doubt? Why do I even want to do this? What does this even mean? If I didn't go 200 days without eating, it would make no difference in my life. My lovers would still love me. I would still be doing what I'm doing. Nothing would be different. The result of going 200 days without eating is just the outcome of me choosing life. It's not the obtainment. It's just the product. I don't give a fuck if I eat. I don't give a fuck if I don't eat. Where's the life at? And when you focus on that, it gives you the ability to gain muscles, have better skin, wider teeth. What, my eyes change color to blue? I don't know why the fuck my eyes changed to blue. I didn't think I needed that trait in my life, but I guess life is like, here you go. Like now they're blue. They used to be green and brown and yellow. Now they're blue and gray. So life will automatically do this, but you can't. You have to live a life with no doubt. I'm not saying you have to have faith. I'm not saying you have to have belief. I'm not even saying that you have to like be blind in what you're doing. I'm just saying you can't resist yourself, because the moment you resist yourself, you're at conflict, and that wastes the most energy. And when you operate in calories, you're going into a caloric observation to either limit yourself, prove to yourself, or add more to yourself. And all that stuff is actually not yourself. It's something else trying to imitate you, but it's not alive. Numbers are not alive. There is no 1, there is no 20. There's just everything. Now you can like, hey, Adam, what time are we meeting today? Hey, we're meeting at 3:00. Okay, cool. I get it. Yeah. There is the concept of numbers. Hey, 3:00 on the dot is whenever, we're going to meet for this. I get that. But if your life goes into the numbers, like this is important. It has to be, I have to have 3 women. I have to have 10 million. I have to have dollars, $10 million. I have to have 6 cars. I have to have this. Then that energy that was made for you to live to where you could possibly do this is now in attempting to get the 6th car, the last million, the next girl, and it leaves you. And no matter what you do, you will die in that because you gave your life force to it. But when you focus and concentrate your life force back into the present moment, it will bring everything that you need in every single moment. And you'll save so much energy to where you don't get hungry. I save so much energy, my muscles have gotten bigger. They're not bigger because I need bigger muscles. They're bigger because I have so much energy that I'm not even using. I don't care if I get skinny now. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if I get weak I don't care, because there's nothing I need to do. Because when you're in the harmonic field, everything's done for you. I think I just got a package here and people are like delivering it. I didn't get up. I didn't go. I don't even know what package it is, but I'll find out later that I need this package and it'll be given to me. That you live in such alignment, you never have to lift a finger because it's all aligned. And everything that's out of alignment is trying to show you how much you're not aligned. So instead of trying to look at how much you're not aligned, oh, this isn't aligned, this isn't aligned, this is not aligned. Instead, just take that same attention, that same energy, and focus on alignment. And it will naturally come into alignment without effort. And then you get to save all the energy.
And that's the energy that goes to your muscles to grow.
My mental cognition. You've seen people fast. I'm sure you've fasted before. How well can you hold a conversation, and how in depth is that conversation when you're holding it? You usually have brain fog and you're tired and like, oh man, like, oh yeah. There are moments of clarity, like you have peak moments. But for the most part, you're at such a low blood sugar, you're at such a low infrastructural stability within yourself, it's hard to even hold an in-depth conversation. I've gone 200 days and I'm speaking as coherently as possible. It goes into my muscles, it goes into my energy, it goes into my mind. My head grew. There's a point on my head, and I'll send a picture so your audience can see it. This is freaking crazy. I put so much energy into my head, it started coning in the back. I have a whole segment of where energy is now pushing up through my head. Because I have my muscles grew, but my head grew. Because so much energy is being stored and sent that it's actually elongating my skull.
You said you put that energy into your head. How do you do that? Like just with attention, with intention, or you think about it, or like what exactly do you do?
Yeah. So, okay, it's not like a beginner thing to do. Like, oh yeah, hey, I've never meditated before. Let me just put energy in my head. But there is a step-by-step sequence that I have for training videos in Discord to show people the first step. I have different phases of meditation, so I call them the meditative phases. So you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And then you have to master those pretty much before you can get to this. This is like phase 7. All right. So before you're shooting energy up and it's growing your head and doing all this stuff and you're seeing, oh my God, like awareness and interpretation, you got to first at least master the ability of phase 1, which phase 1's pretty simple, but it's not. It's like holding one thought. And like there's a whole training video on it and all the different phases. But if people really want to know and they really want to go into that, it'd probably be best to join the Discord.
Okay, so it's through like intentional meditation that you are trying to move energy while you are in that meditative state.
I mean, energy is always moving either way, but now you just direct a little bit better. It's never for the purpose of like growing the head, but when you have so much energy, when energy is sustained in one part, that's where growth happens. So it could be bad, it could be good. You can put energy in your muscles, and then boom, they get bigger. You know, that's what blood is. Blood rushes there, stem cells, and like it creates bigger muscles, hypertrophy, like we were talking about earlier. But also stagnant energy. Whenever you have energy, uh, compiled in one place, maybe like there's a block in blood flow or whatever, it can get stagnant, it can build up, growths, um, different types of like skin tags, warts, stuff like that, cysts. Uh, hopefully, no one here ever gets it, but like tumors and stuff like that. It's this energy uh, accumulated in one specific area. So that's kind of what it is, except you're directing it on purpose. And because I've sent so much energy to my head, it has literally grown. It's crazy. But the meditations are pretty much useless unless you're doing the first step in the guide and everything else. So if they haven't already, just get the guide. That's the first thing to even enter any of this. You can't even do the meditations if you still haven't done the first step in the guide. Like it won't be solvent. It won't actually like establish within you. Like it'll be counterproductive and waste energy, and you actually come out depleted.
Oh, interesting. That
No.
if you are doing the meditation in, let's say, like in an environment that actually depletes you, it's just going to be a waste of energy. So you are going to come out even more depleted because you used energy to meditate, but you were not in the right state, I guess.
Physically, yeah, not in the right state. Like mentally, you could be in the right state, but there's a lot of people who meditate that you look at their face and it's like my key thing is the person's results. Like, show me your face and I'll tell you if I want to follow you or not. Not because I'm vain or shallow or anything like that, but if there is stress and bags and wrinkles, and I'm not saying people can't age or mature, but if they look worn, tired, stressed, fearful, the face gives all those cues. Like you can have a body, but if you don't show the expression of the face, then you have no idea what the depth of
Mm.
the person is. It says like uh the eye is the gateway. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. So you can see a lot from a person's expression. How are their teeth? Are their teeth broken or rotting? Or how is their skin? Or is it sagging? Is it drooping? Do they have like a double chin? Is there skin pigmentation? So when you look at a person's face, you can see how much stress either they've gone through or currently in, and then you can associate that with the methods that they promote. So if a person's talking about fasting, like, oh, it's good for you, but that person who talks about fasting looks aged AF, or they look worn out, like used like a rag doll, like, man, you look like you've been used a little too many times, then maybe that person's methods aren't the most effective towards having more vitality in yourself. So if a person meditates, but they look aged or worn without necessarily just being old, because I believe that you can probably be 60, 70 and look similar to me. Like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of, wear and tear here, but it does, just because you're 60 does not mean you have to look aged. You can be like Lenny Kravitz. He's a great example. Like, he does not look 60. There's a lot of other people out there who do their own thing. Some people are vegan, some people are this, but nonetheless, they look the part. You don't have to necessarily age in a sense. Age is the wear and the tear. So if you do something prematurely, so if you do the meditations before you collected the energy to do it, then it's going to be pulling from a different source. When you pull from your reserves, it's going to end up wearing you down, And in that, your face is going to reflect that. So if a person's talking about fasting, meditating, but their face looks very worn, I'm just kind of, cautious. I'm not saying don't listen to them or don't take their advice, but whoever you listen to, you'll get what they have. And that's a big rule in my life. Like, if I wouldn't want to trade lives with you, or at least like be open to it, I may not really take your advice in. And that's how I got here. But there's a lot of people's advice. Everyone has advice, and I barely take anybody's. Everyone wants to give their opinion. I don't really care what people have to say. I like, especially at this age in my life, I don't really, I'm not too concerned about just hearing everyone's theology or method or whatever. I'm looking at their results. What do they have? What are they expressing? How much energy do they have? What have they accomplished? What have they achieved? And at the end of all their achievements, what do they look like? Because you can gain the world, but then age your face so much. Like, you can become a billionaire, the most successful, whatever. But man, if you look like you're dying, I'm good. You trade your soul for it. Not physically or like religiously, like, oh, I sold my soul to the devil. But their face looks like they have given their life force to achieve this thing. And that's the crazy. That's the one I'm like, okay, I'm good.
I have a question on that. This is very like personal to me as well. When you look at my
Okay.
face, what do you see?
I
As
see
much as you
Adam,
can see me
my
now.
brother. If we were in person, it'd be a little bit easier to tell.
Mm.
I see that you think too much and you're very tense in your thoughts, that you actually think a lot, but you hold your thoughts so tight that it's depleting a lot of energy. Like you don't allow thoughts to come through and pass. Like, you almost constrict them and you'll hold on to them, sometimes unnecessarily, for extended lengths of time. And that's what your face is expressing and everything else. If I was there in person, I could probably see like fine lines or whatever. But from just, through, virtual reality, that's what it seems like. Like, there's been worry and stress about 5 years ago from some sort of heavy thing in your life. It weighed you down and you had to come back up from it. But even before that, as a child, you would, like, thoughts would come through and you wouldn't really let them go and you'd hold on to them. And it's caused a lot of like tension. You don't look old, you don't look aged, but it seems like you've gone through something that it's slowly starting to pass now, but you've been holding on to it for 20 years.
Yeah, it's a process, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like it just came to mind as you were speaking of someone's face, because that's also probably like the number one thing that I look at. Obviously, you see your face in the mirror, but your face is a mirror to yourself as well. Okay, steering the conversation back, you mentioned something I wanted to have some clarity on. You mentioned that you juice. How to understand that now? Because I thought that you were like not eating for like 200 days. So I just wanted to have a bit of clarity on that.
100%. So I'll still drink liquids and stuff like that. Juice, milk, tea. What else? I try to stay away from water or anything like that. Coconut water. So I'll still intake liquids and stuff like that. Yeah. But you don't want to juice. This is not a juice cleanse. This is not a juice fast. It's not centered around juicing. You actually want to stay away from juice, especially if you're eating, because it could put too much of a load on your pancreas and other parts of your body to where it becomes a detriment to you, and it will cause a malfunction in the way that you absorb solid food. So this is why I tell people never juice. Don't vegetable juice. Don't, like, if you do anything, maybe ginger juice, but juice is not the solution. It's not the scapegoat. It's not the cop out. It's not what you do. But once you solidify all the nutrients that you need to regenerate yourself, if you come to the point of not being hungry later, to where I could go 7 days without anything, like even like dry fasting, if you want to call it that. I don't like using the word fasting, but like without even consuming stuff, certainly 3 days, easily. I was doing this back in South America, to where I would eat once every 7th day, and I'd go sometimes like 2 days without drinking anything, and I was still sustaining myself. It's not about trying to wean off of solid food onto liquids. Stop weaning off of solid foods into juicing or anything like that. It's literally coming to a point where you are so satiated, you have so much satiety in you, that you're not hungry, nor are you even thirsty. You're not anything. You're just here. And then at that point, and I want to say this very carefully, because I don't want people to think like, okay, let me just stop eating and start juicing. There's a lot of people who juice. Same thing. Look at people who juice and notice their face too. There's a lot of people who've gone like the healthy route, healthy, right? And they juice. And they might lose 50 pounds, but look at their face. Their skin usually like sags a little bit. Their skin looks thin. It doesn't look plump. It doesn't look full. It doesn't look, they might have lost weight. They might have a little bit of a shine to their face, but they start to look worn and stressed out because it stresses your organs. So juice is not the route to go. You don't want to go any route like that. You want to completely regenerate yourself. So that's what I want to like add as a disclaimer, okay? Do not start juicing. I'm not saying juice. I do not condone juicing. Just eat the fruit. I'd rather you just eat the fruit than juice. It's going to save you money and time. Just eat the whatever it is, the apple, the orange, or whatever. If you start to juice and you're simultaneously eating, it does all this stuff that messes up your body. Yeah, it might cleanse out your colon, but why was your colon even clogged in the first place? If you can get to the root of why it was clogged, you wouldn't have to juice to try to compensate, to try to detox. Like it starts getting messy because people are trying to fix things with patches. Okay, I'll just do a juice cleanse versus getting to the root. Well, why was I dirty in the first place? If you just remove the hinge or like the linchpin of why you would need this remedy in the first place, this becomes obsolete. This gets fixed for sure. And then you come into the state where you have more energy from it. But if you keep trying to patch, okay, I'll juice, I'll fast, I'll do this, you stay broken. And you're just holding yourself together with tape. That's why the people at the end of a fast, they might feel better then, but these people keep doing these things. They don't actually fix their issue of why it's happening. So those people who've been in it for 5, 10 years or longer, they look older now. I don't want to name any names, but I have some health gurus like right top of mind. They don't look younger after their fasting or their bulletproof coffee from back in the day or like juicing and everything else. They actually look aged and worn and thin skin and everything else. No names, just look at faces. So even though I do drink juice, I personally, especially in the beginning of all this, do not condone juicing, like drinking pineapple juice, apple juice at all. If you want something to drink, tea, coconut water, or whatever, just eat the fruit. It's put in a structure to where your body can digest it at the rate that it needs to be digested so it doesn't oversurge your body or like quickly hit it to where your body's like, oh my God, we got to hurry up and do this. So all the members of my Discord, everybody who gets the guide, I even say it in the guide, do not juice. Do not have orange juice, just eat an orange. Do not drink apple juice, just eat the apple. Don't have a mango smoothie or a banana smoothie, just eat the mango. And then in the guide, I say don't eat bananas. So yeah.
Okay, just so I fully understand that you don't consume solid food, you still drink liquids, like you said,
Yeah.
you want to stay away from water. We can talk about it another time as well. And then you
Yeah.
drink coconut
Yeah.
water, you consume milk, and you said you drink juices. But when you say juices, what exactly do you mean by that? While you're also saying and recommending people like not to juice. So like, what would be an example for the juice that you consume?
Like apple juice, orange juice or something like that. Like juice, pineapple juice. Sometimes it depends on the country that I'm in. They might only have like watermelons or something like that, but they might only have pears, or it just depends, like some sort of fruit juice usually. Not too much vegetable juice.
I think what I'm trying to figure out is that how much, it sounds silly, but how much juice do you consume? So it's not a replacement for food, or is it?
It's not. I don't want to get too deep into that. Like, yes, I totally consume liquids, and there's a caloric value in liquids and everything else. Yes, if it's not water, there's calories in it, 100%. If you want to measure on that route there, yeah, there's totally calories. I totally consume calories in that manner. But the juice, the liquid, is not the replacement of. You can juice all you want, and your muscles aren't going to get bigger, unless the juice you're doing is steroids. So it's not about replacing food with liquids at all. But if I go into the details of it, I know people and how they work. They're like, well, Mikey told me to juice. Mikey told me, well, if I do it like this, because he drinks this juice, so I see it in my DMs every day. Because I tell people I don't eat, even though I put a disclaimer in the beginning of the video, I am not fasting. Like, this is not a fast. Because a fast, you have to use willpower. A fast, you have to push away hunger. Like, there's hunger. Hunger is present during fasting. Even if you're hungry, you say no to yourself. What I'm doing, there's never any hunger whatsoever. I'm never lightheaded. I never feel like I'm about to faint or pass out. I have so much energy That's why I don't eat or haven't eaten in 200 plus days. It's not, but most people see it the opposite. Okay, he's not eating, so therefore I'm going to not eat. Oh, I'm hungry? No, Mikey doesn't eat. So in that same manner, if I start saying like, well, I drink orange juice and I'll drink like some apple juice and this and that, people are like, okay, Mikey drinks apple juice, I'm going to drink apple juice. I'm going to have them in my DM saying, hey, I'm doing a juice cleanse right now and a juice fast, just like you said on ONPATH podcast. And I'm like, dude, you're missing the point. My motive isn't not eating, and partially because of that, I can be clear-minded in my approach to this, and I don't try to push out the days. Like, well, I'm going to go 20 days, 21. Because when the person has a goal, like even in my Discord community, I tell people like, don't even have goals. Like even goals themselves are a distraction. When you just live and embody this, now you can have a direction of where you're going, but to have a goal itself, I say in my community, like a goal is a gamble because you don't know if you're going to get it or not. You don't know. But everything that I do, there's a high probability, 80% or more. You know, I can never truly take risk. There's no reason to take a risk, especially when you live from this life, because life is telling you exactly what to do. So it's not even about having goals or trying to accomplish or whatever, because usually those are fueled by insecurity. When any action that you do is fueled by insecurity, by default, it makes you blind, and you have a lot of blind spots, and that's where all this destruction, sickness, aging, and everything else happens. So you don't want to try to walk on a path where you're not eating or where you're trying to just drink juices or whatever. You want to come to the point where you focus on what life actually is, and as you go down that life, you come to the point where you have so much vitality, and then the decision can be made if the person wants to not eat or whatever. I'm just going to be honest and real. I don't think anybody should come to the point where they don't eat. Not unless they are ready for their head to grow, become something other than, because it's a very isolating life. It's not like, oh yeah, hey, let's just like not eat, you know, because everybody eats. And it's the main thing, especially if I go on dates and stuff like that. Like some people, a lot of people have gotten flipped out, kind of freaked out a little bit that I don't eat. So it's something I try not to even bring up too often, is because people get so freaked out that I don't eat that they break down inside. So it's really hard to connect with people in that realm, because eating is obviously a staple of life itself. If you say that it's a challenge to them, then they feel like they can't eat in front of you, and all this stuff comes up. It's like yada, 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 yada. But the purpose of a person not eating in the first place should never even be for the intentions of not eating. So you should have no goals. You should have no actual goals that you're trying to achieve. And that allows you to have all the energy that you need to pay attention to life, and life will give you everything. Now, it's not going to just, it might. Usually, it doesn't just give you something like, okay, here's the money, here's the thing, but it will make so apparent the direction that you need to go in and head in that it's so blatantly obvious, and you just do it, it works out perfectly. So you have a high success rate, 90%, close to 100%. But if you're trying to do the goals and you're blinded because you're missing this part because you're focused on that, and then it's usually rooted out of insecurity and it's draining energy from you, so you don't have the energetic ability to focus on that and see and factor in all these things. So people end up having a lot of holes in their life. Yeah, you might have abs, but you're also on the verge of having an autoimmune disorder because like your body fat's so low and blah 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 blah. You know, I've kept single digit body fat, and I'm normally obese. I'm normally on the heavier side. I've been a big kid all of my life. I have kept probably like a close to 8% below body fat all of this time on the guide, and yet I have more energy. I haven't been sick. I haven't been sick at all. I don't get the coughs or colds or flus or anything like that. And instead of having an autoimmune disorder because I work out so much and I'm trying to do this and I'm starving myself and I feel like shit, but I can't say that because people would not buy my thing if they really knew I felt like instead of trying to hold up this life, I say fuck it to all that stuff. I say, how do I feel? And I operate inside that. Any person who's going to authentically go down that path, I'm telling you, it's going to tell you to eat because you should, because there's so many things that you're missing. Before I stopped, or I haven't stopped eating, but I haven't eaten in so long. I'm traveling the world. I've been to 30 countries so far. In every single country, there's very specific elements that I'm getting on purpose to fuel myself so I have the ability to continue this path that I'm going on. So I'm not just in America or the US or like a Western country saying, okay, I'm going to fast. No, there's very specific things I've gotten from each continent, even, and all these different countries that assist in the longevity of being satiated. So that way, my life in this path has all this backing. Like I was saying this before, when people see stuntmen on TV, they have to put a disclaimer, hey, do not try this at home. Because people will just see the stuntman on camera and they think that's it. It's that guy jumped the gorge, the canyon. But he has a paramedic team, a crew, safety people, stunt people, all these people, lights ready. Everything's on standby to assist this person. And the person has been practicing for like 2 months before making the jump. And they have mathematicians there to like calculate the trajectory and the angle and all this other stuff. But people don't see that. They just see the stunt guy. So they're like, okay, I can jump a bike across the gorge. Not knowing that guy actually had a parachute in his like life chest harness and stuff like that. Same thing with this. I've gone all around the world to collect very specific plants and stuff like that to assist me in the ability to sustain the longevity of satiety. So it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm here in America or I'm here in the US. I'm just going to like not eat. I'm going to fast. No, that's not the path to this anyway. So that's why I always tell people just eat, because it is the higher way. If anybody tells you to fast, it's the lower way. It's out of detriment. It's out of discipline. It's out of punishment. You eat too much. Not even knowing that the purpose they're even doing this is because they hate themselves. I'm telling you, unless you get to the root of how much you actually don't like yourself, fasting will never be beneficial. You can eat like I have my people in my Discord, they can eat as much as they want, but they have to do the self-love stuff. Yeah, pig out, eat as much as you want. They still lose weight. They still gain muscles. I have a guy who just lost 30 pounds and he eats as much as he wants. He's been trying to lose weight all of his life. He's done gym routines and keto and this and that and all this other stuff and supplements. Never could keep the weight off. On this method here with the guide, he has been able to eat as much as he wants every single day, never has fasted, eats every day. I tell him to eat every day, still lost 30 pounds and now he has like an 8-pack. He has more abs than me. It's not about starving yourself. It's not about calories. It's about a certain energetic component that's inside of all of us. And if we can utilize that metric, it aligns our body and expresses it. I'm only not eating because of a very specific path that I'm on, but it has nothing to do with the guide and living life. People just want the title of not eating for 200 days. I don't have the title of not eating for 200 days. I have the title of spending every dollar to get the freshest air at the highest point. So when I get that energy, I can apply it to the highest form of consciousness that I can to experience this. And I'm betting my life on it. I'm betting my dollar on it. I'm betting my time on it. I'm betting everything on it. So it's not accumulated or the end result of not eating for 200 days. I don't care about that. I'll spend $7,000 on luggage. Just on the luggage.
But how?
Because
That's so expensive. I mean, what kind of airline do you fly with?
well, I'm just saying like because I travel every month. So like every month I have to get my stuff and ship it to the next place and this and that. I'm sure if I tally it up, maybe it may not reach 7,000. Maybe it might be 4,000 or 5,000. But what I'm saying is, even if it was 10,000, it doesn't matter, because to reach that next level of consciousness, you have to let go of everything below it, or you won't reach it. People are focused on not eating. Hey, bro, how do I fast? Fasting or not eating is just the outcome or like the byproduct of reaching towards consciousness. It's never. That's why I'm saying it's not about the calorie. If it was about the calorie, there's no way I'd spend however much I spend on luggage. I spend sometimes more on luggage. It costs sometimes more to ship my luggage than it does my airplane tickets. It's more just for sometimes one suitcase. But if I was focused on the number, I'd be so blind to it, I wouldn't want to spend that money. I wouldn't go for it. So if losing weight's your goal, if calories are your goal, if not eating's your goal, you'll be so blind to what the real goal is that gives everything. But you can't focus on the the luggage, the calorie, the money, or the this, or it will keep you down. The luggage will weigh you down. I don't want to fucking spend X amount on luggage. Okay, well, that's your level of ascension. I don't want to, go like leave my family or like go out of the country or travel every month. I'm not saying that people have to, but like what I'm saying, like the only way to grab this is to let go of this. Whatever you're currently holding on to right now, moment by moment, and then, oh, this is perfect. The longer you hold on to it, the more you're sinking. So you got to keep grabbing the next one, and you start sinking there. You got to grab the next one, and it starts sinking there. So you have to be at a constant rate of expansion, but you have to be aware enough to even know where's the next handhold to grab. Because if not, then if you spent that money on luggage, you might waste all your money just on luggage, and you wouldn't be able to sustain it. That's why I'm saying, like, I'll spend the amount to sustain the level of consciousness through compounded growth without disruption, so it's able to last. I'm not just going to try to go get a high. I'm going to be filled with a specific type of fullness of energy, so I'm able to see what the next step is so I can sustain all this stuff. And I've been doing it for like nearly 6 years.
You mentioned goal a couple of times, and you also mentioned that if I'm so focused on, like the next monetary goal or the luggage and all of that, it's all a distraction from the real goal. So what would be the real goal here?
The purpose is to live. And what you're aware of is what you experience. So people are alive, but they're never aware enough to know what's around them. The love they have, the family, the opportunities. So they live, they exist, but they're not alive enough to be aware to even see what they have around them and what they can do with it. So therefore they default into just existing. The goal of life is to experience, but you can only experience if you're conscious. You can drive home on autopilot mode and you weren't even driving. It was just your automatic functions taking over because you've done this route so many times. Your synapses are like firing in the same way that you've done this for years. Those people are zombies. In that state, you want to be consciously engaged in every portion and proponent of reality every second. Now, can you do that today? No. Will you become Tony Hawk in a day if you go to the store and buy a skateboard? No, it takes time and practice and everything else, like, actual engagement. But you want to come to the point where you're growing year after year, day after day, moment after moment, with the ability to have the stamina to be able to pay conscious attention to everything that's happening in your life. Today, you might only be able to do it for 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes next year may turn into 5 hours. Now, the year after that, it may turn into like actually 5 days. Now you have 5 days of consistent conscious engagement without disruption or detachment to where you're able to perceive reality. That person's actually living. The person who's asleep, unconscious, on autopilot mode, they're not living life. And that's why so much chaos happens to them. Money goes, relationships break, or whatever. They just weren't paying attention. But when you have the energy, the energetic budget to pay attention, you get to experience a whole other life that's available for every single person who pays the fee, which is attention. So the point of life is to live. The point of all is to live.
And this is what you also call the harmonic state, right? So this is also something that we talked about in the past before. But there was one question which I forgot to ask.
This isn't the harmonic state, but like the harmonic state gives you the ability to do it. The harmonic state where everything's in equilibrium, everything's in balance and harmony. You are coming to a point of homeostasis where everything's functioning so well, you have free energy to then pay attention.
Okay, so the harmonic state equips you with this ability to do these things,
Yeah.
right? Such as like how much food you consume, how long you not eat.
Well, to pay attention, because that's our heaviest resource. The thing that takes two things that takes the most energy in a human's life is thinking and digesting. So now, if you're not eating all that much, there's not a lot to digest. But thinking, worrying, doubting, it takes so much. That's why a lot of the aging happens here in the face, because you have so many faculties here. This is where the thinking happens. So when you come into the harmonic state, you get enough energy to pay attention, because it costs a lot of energy to do this. You think for me to even process this girl dropped her lock and know it, and then actually be coherent enough when she says, "Hey, I missed my lock," to know where it's at? Why should I even process this? Why should I even care? Why should I spend my energy that I spent $15 on a fucking bottle of juice just to feed myself, in a sense, on her lock that may only cost $3 or maybe $10 or something like that? What's the point? But when you're in this harmonic state, you have so much energy, you can pay attention to everything. Now as a group, it's not as taxing on you, because like you have so much energy. Now you know this and this and that and this and that. Now the thing that's the heaviest cognitive depletion actually is now your base state. So you went from a person who was like base state, now you're like you stay in Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan fucking a million, Super Saiyan UI X Machina, whatever. So so your base state is now the most conscious state that a person only enters in a flow state once every 4 years of the Olympics. But you stay in that base state. Your accuracy increases, your perception, your precision, your ability. Like we were talking earlier, in my other house, I had so much energy. I was climbing a steel beam, like an I-beam, with just a small little grip like that. I was just gripping it like this with my hands. I've never climbed an I-beam before. I've never scaled the inside of a house. Like, yeah, I've climbed trees, but I've never done this. There's nothing that my feet are even on. There's no footholds or anything like that. There's no steps. My foot is just almost magnetized and stuck to the side. What am I even holding on to? How do I even know that? Where did this even come from? The air around us has the intelligence of how to do everything. I've never even driven a stick before, but I rented a stick car, and now I'm driving stick on the opposite side of the car in Indian traffic. Swiftly. This is like, where did I learn how to drive a stick from? The atmosphere and the air has all the data, all the insight. But if we're too stunted and disconnected and we don't have the energy, then we will have to go the hard route, which is learn the hard way, spend all of our time practicing, or just not even try. But when you become so open, you occupy this harmonic state, you're so open and you have the energy, then any application that you do most likely results in success. You have a high percentage in your success rate. And then your life becomes success. And then it becomes easy. And then people are like, dude, how do you do it? How do you go 200 days? Is it juice? Is it calories? It's you're living off the data of the air, because everything itself is intel. But you can only perceive it if you have the energy to interpret it by the state that you occupy. So it's not about the money or the luggage or the calories or this. It's about living life through the experience of being able to actually engage with it.
It reminds me to that scene from The Matrix where they just literally like downloaded the ability to do kung fu and all of that, because it's all there, right? And then I'm also just trying to stitch it together for myself so I understand exactly what is that untapped potential out there by not operating in the right state. So the question that I would have had was like, what's the utility of this state? But you already answered that.
Anything you want, beauty, romance, love, fulfillment, it's there because it's decoding what reality already has here. If it exists in reality, there's a code for it. And if you're open, you can receive the code and interpret it, and then you can get it.
So that's how you can tap into it, right? Like that's how you can actually access that code, by being in the right state to be able to access it. Because most people are not in the right state to access that code. That's 100%. Essentially the utility of 100%. The harmonic state.
I've hung out with billionaires from it. I've hung out with people on like private planes and helicopters and supercars, and traveled the world, and the most beautiful women, the most beautiful models, and whatever. So whatever you want to do. Now I'm like, okay, well, I've already fulfilled the checklist of this fantasy with that girl, and I've done this with this money and this and that. So like, what is there now? Okay, what's the higher state of life? So now you can take it and you can push it into that. And I pushed it in my head. Now my head's like, okay, I'm morphing into some weird monster. When you see my body and like the way it's even shaped, it doesn't even look like your average bodybuilder or human. So now you can start like becoming phantasmal, like a fantasy type of shape. You can take different, whatever. You can, this is crazy, but like, why do they learn Kung Fu? Why don't they just learn this or that or whatever? Because life is free and it's open. When you have this, you can do anything you want. It's the cheat code to life. Probably a good name for the podcast. Here's the cheat code to life. And here's the code or whatever. So there is no utility. The utility is your justification of your actions. I'm not saying go out and do bad or evil stuff, but when you have this, you can do whatever you want because there is no limitation. You want to travel? I've been traveling nonstop for 5 years. You want muscles? I have muscles without working out. You want money? It brings successful ideas to you always. You want love? But if you are full of toxins, you're held back. If you're thinking about numbers, you're held back. If you're thinking about luggage or the cost, you're held back. And you won't receive the code because you'll be living to fulfill your own insecurity, and this is how far you can see.
With that state that we are discussing right now, do you think that you would have the capability to tap into that code of like, I'm a kung fu master now, and then from like, you literally like bend time and then you become a kung fu master from like 1 minute to another, or you are still bound to some of the laws of the reality as we experience now, that certain time has to pass, certain repetition have to be put in order to become good at kung fu?
I believe the former. It's an instantaneous result, but to sustain the state is an energetic surplus if it's new and not wired into your system. You can operate in it from the flow state, but to sustain it would be at a huge energetic cost. Because there's been things that this is just the most recent thing, but I've done this multiple times. Just calling the woman's name out. Is your name Susie? I've done this for another one of my students. She came out to visit. And it happened again. I'm like, she's like, hey, yeah, I have a brother. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you had a brother. She's like, yeah, his name is. I'm like, no. Is his name this? She's like, yeah, that's his private name. That's what the family calls him. So again, it tells me private stuff that I didn't plan it. I didn't know. I didn't try. It just came. I'm like, hey. So everything's always here, but to sustain it takes a lot of energy. And to try also takes a lot of energy. So am I at the fullest extent of it? Not even close. If I'm just naming names, kind of like a parlor trick or something like that. But I have been able to, do I need to climb this steel beam? I've never done it before, but here, boom, 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 boom. Do I need to maybe get across this border or do this thing? Or like, because it happens. Do I need to sustain my relationship? Do I need my relationship of 15 years? Do I need to take it to another day, 2 days, another month, 3 months? So it's with everything. Okay, I haven't eaten in 200 and X days. Do I need to take it to the next? So it's in everything, and you can download it, and it's instantaneous. The only thing is sustaining it. That's the thing. But if you're always disrupted, you have toxins, or you're changing, you're fasting today, then you're eating tomorrow, and you're yo-yoing, it disrupts you so much you wouldn't even be able to. You might see it once per decade because it's unsustainable. Because the life is so distorted of a person that's not harmonic. It'd be the luck of the draw. But when you put yourself in that harmonic state, you're poised and positioned to run into luck of that. And it's easier once you grasp it, like, okay, cool, I can create a metric of producing this on demand, like a probability, and then you can start sustaining it. But it comes with having enough energy to do it. Most people don't, so they're living off their reserves, and that's why they're aging and looking older, because it costs a lot of energy to do that stuff. But if you have a lot of energy, you don't care how much it costs because you have it. A billionaire doesn't care how much a cheeseburger costs. If it's $1 million or $25,000 with some gold on it or some shit like that, they eat it. They don't care. They have $1 billion. That's like 1,000 million. So it's like whatever. A $25,000 cheeseburger is like nothing. When you have a bunch of energy, you don't care how much it costs because like I can scale this I-beam. I can do this thing. It's easy at that point. But you need to be positioned in an energetic surplus. If you're around toxins or thoughts or all this other stuff, everything that the guide says, hey, avoid that stuff. If you're in it, you're just in survival mode. You're just trying to get enough money to pay your bills and not go under and not lose your car or your house. The thing is, you don't solve that problem by trying to fix that problem. You solve that problem by getting so much energy that your life produces out from you. You just end up in a different situation. Almost lucky, like, oh yeah. How many people? I have so many people every day say, dude, you're so lucky. They see the girls I'm with, like, oh man, they're beautiful. Man, you're so lucky. Hey, they hear about my travels. Man, I've been traveling the world. This is my 30th country. I've been traveling nonstop for 5 years. Oh, you're so lucky. Okay, 1 luck is cool. 2 luck, 3 luck. Everything's lucky. Oh, I got lucky. I got good genes. I don't age. Oh, you're lucky. You get to travel the world. Okay, you're lucky. You have multiple. Okay, you're lucky that it's not an accident. It's an energetic surplus showing itself, proving itself. Everybody wants science to prove it. Your life should prove it. And that's what all life wants from us, is to live with it. Quit getting validations from an exterior source and start allowing your life to prove what life actually is. It is the probability. But you can only do that if you have the energy, because it costs a lot of energy.
Every state of being has its challenges as well. So I was wondering, like, what's the most difficult part for you to maintain this state, if there is any?
You have some cool questions, bro. Oh man. The most difficult thing, I think, mentally being at this level alone, because it's so crazy, and seeing it. How the heck would I know this woman's name is Susie? Like, bro, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like the doubt, right? We were talking earlier. Like, the less I eat, I must have better thoughts, right? No, because I don't eat as much. Like, now I'm questioning everything. So I'm like finding like what to actually pay attention to, what to give energy to, and stuff like that. So I think having no one to glean from or another role model, I can't look to that person because I'm the only person I know living this level at this life. Yeah, there's other people who aren't eating for maybe like years or something like that. My goal is not to not eat. I don't care. My goal is to get so much energy that reality is literally being geysered from the inside out. I don't know anybody like that. If they're out there, maybe they have such a good life, they don't need to be in the media or anything like that. So I think like being able to solidarily reflect from myself and walk only trusting myself, I think is the most difficult thing. Not having somebody like, okay, they did that this way. Okay, cool. That's why the Discord and the guide is easy, because like, dude, just do it. I already laid it out for you, and you see the results I have. But me, there's no one I'm not looking to that. I'm not looking to Brian Johnson. I respect the man. I'm not looking to David Goggins. I respect the man, but I'm not looking to them. I'm not doing what they're doing. This whole thing of generating reality from the inside out, I'm forging this path. Not that manifestation's new or like influencing reality, but living in such a state to where that's the primary focus, to where all the stuff's generating around it. I don't know anybody else doing it. They keep pointing to as above, so below, a Merkaba, a sign, a number, the Kabbalah, a book, a thing. They keep pointing to something else, which means they're giving their energy to it. And I look at their life, I'm like, man, but I wouldn't even trade my life with you. If you're doing that, then why aren't you in a better position? If that's real, I believe that there's benefits to those things like Kabbalah and manifestation and the secret and stuff like that. Then why are you still working? Why do you look so tired? Why do you look so drained? Why do you sound desperate when you speak? Why are your eyes shifted down as if they were fearful, trying to get validation from people versus confident, like, this is what it is? Why did you stutter when you spoke? Why did you have to think about it? Why didn't it naturally just come out? So the hardest part, I would say, is being the walls that I ping from within myself, and the being the mirror that I reflect of myself. I am the person looking at the mirror, and I'm the mirror. So I have to hurry up and move so quick I can reflect my own image to myself to even confirm I'm going in the right direction. I think it's the hardest part. But it's not that hard. It's not even hard, but it's the hardest thing. It's fun as fuck. I'm having a great time.
What was the last thing you learned about yourself?
The last thing I learned about myself was today, as I was driving back to get to this interview, this podcast, was, if anything, start at the basis with every thought of, is this giving me energy or is it taking energy from me? And if it's taking energy from me, do not think about it. And that's how I save a lot of energy now, like today. Like, if it's taking energy from me, I don't have to think about it. I'm sure that maybe people can't relate to that. Well, I got to take care of my bills and stuff like that. Well, that's a whole different topic for another day. But like, coming to the portion of, if it takes, then go back to give. What thought gives me energy, and starting from there as a basis in my skull, in my head. It's not directly like, oh yeah, hey, Michael is this, but like, that's just the thing I've learned most recently today. I think the next thing is like, this is a hexagonal reality. It's not even a matrix. It's actually a hexagon. But that could be a tone for another day, because that's what everything's being birthed from, is from hexagons. Hexagons are the 2D model of a cube. Cube is a symbolism for 3D reality, right? Height with depth. Not that we give ourselves to the symbolism, but we live in space. And that's what this is. My head is a hexagon. My body, my chest is a hexagon. We see these hexagons everywhere, on us, in us, around us. So this is a hexagonal matrix that's being produced from, and every honeycomb that's filled to the top spills over in the manifestation of whatever we give our attention to.
Just to build on top of that, I love that you mentioned about the thought that the moment you realize that that thought does not give you energy, it actually drains your energy, you stop thinking about it. But it's so hard to do it, especially for someone who has, let's say, like negative thought patterns, or they lack trust with themselves, or they don't love themselves enough, or, just things are happening in their life. So, like, what would be your recommendation for someone who wants to stop the thought that they know is actually draining them and not giving them any good?
Man, that's a great question. That's a super great question, because we all deal with thoughts, negativity, stuff like that. Well, because that structure of the sentence statement is already poised in double negative, right? How do you stop thinking the negative thought? You've already lost. You don't stop thinking that thought. You just start thinking the positive one. And even if if this is the negative thought and this is the positive thought, you don't stop thinking this, because you're always thinking something has to be filled. Like nothing's ever empty. Everything, there's no such thing as a void. Everything is full of something. Even if it's full of nothing, there's still something there. So you don't stop thinking the negative thought. You just start thinking whatever gives you the elation, whatever gives you the chills, whatever gives you that life. And even if you have to ping 20 times to get here, keep doing it. So if you are thinking negative, okay, now I'm going to think about this good thing. You keep going back there. Oh, reset yourself. Okay. And if you even have to keep going back 20 times to keep readjusting yourself, no, this, you need to say it. Do it as long as you have to do it, and be willing to pay the price of it. And then eventually it'll become your default. Another thing that helps is the meditation that I mentioned in the Discord, like those training videos there. Those things get the number one reason, or like one of the number one benefits that people get in living like the guide and join the Discord is peace inside and more consciousness. They like one testimony I keep getting from a lot of people for this health book, or whatever you want to call it, like a health guide, right? Is they become more conscious. They understand and notice their own sentience, because they're actually able to observe themselves by default outside of themselves without even applying or trying. That's something I don't even teach in the guide, but it's a natural effect. So whenever you do these specific meditations, you can see your thoughts. You can see what's in there, what's going on, because you clear the toxins, of course. You can see what's going on, and then it's easier to say, okay, I don't like that. Let's go here. And then you stay there, and the more that you stay there, that's the energy that you radiate. When you think bad, you age. You become the structure of the thought that you hold. When you hold good, you look good. Everywhere I go, people are like, man, you look good. I'm like, oh, thanks, appreciate that. But if you hold bad, you'll look bad. Hey, you okay? They might not say that you look bad, but they say, hey, are you okay? You all right? But when you hold good, you look good, and people are like, damn, you look good. So you there's seeds of it. There's sequences of the energy applied to the inception and the planting and the growth, to the thought, to the hold, to the outward energy coming, to the structuring of the frame, to the application of the action. And when you understand that sequence of energy, and as it traverses through you, then your life becomes the reflection of understanding that sequence. And that's why all this is easy. It's easy to get money. It's easy to get a relationship. It's easy to get partners, men or women or whatever, muscles or whatever, because it's just following the sequence. But if you don't have enough energy to even observe your own sequence, you think this is all random. It's not. There's no such thing as randomness in the universe. None of this stuff is random. There's no such thing as luck. It's all on purpose. You only get what you want, even if you don't think you do, because that's all you can experience. You can't experience something that didn't come from you. Even if the other person slaps you, you put that out because you thought you were worthy to be slapped. So when a person can view their own sequence, you can recode it, and that's how you do the cheat code of life. It's the sequence, up, up, down, A, B, X. And then da-da, infinite money hack, infinite this hack, whatever. But if you don't even know there's a sequence, or you don't even have if you don't have the energy, if a person right now doesn't even have energy, they couldn't even visualize what I just said. They need a picture. And that's the rate at comprehension that they have. They still need coloring books. Nothing bad against them. It's not bad. It's okay to have visual representations. It's what diagrams are, charts and everything else. But when you come to the position to where you have so much energy, you can formulate that graph inside of your head. Then you have the ability to acknowledge the sequence at which all reality comes through, and you can structure it. And there's nothing wrong with structuring things in your favor, because the rising tide raises all ships. When you're blessed, everyone else around you is blessed. Even if you just give them a smile, that smile is better than seeing somebody sad. So whenever you're blessed, whenever you're favored, whenever you're loved, that radiates out from you, then everyone around you gets blessed. Every person I've ever been with, every partner, gets more beautiful the longer that they're with me. Everyone. Beautiful people are in my life. They were already beautiful before me. I'm not saying I made their beauty. But if you take photos, every single one gets more beautiful as time passes when we're together. Because when you put out good energy, your homes get more beautiful. Your skin gets more beautiful. Your partners get more beautiful. Your friends get more beautiful. Because they're feeding off what you're radiating. So if you don't know your sequence and everything around you is looking sour, it's all your fault. But simultaneously, you didn't even know better, so you're a victim. But simultaneously, it's all about getting energy in the first place. Remove the toxins.
Just to go back to the question itself. So do I avoid negative thoughts, or I just let them flow and just think through them and then start another positive thought? I mean, that's what you were saying. So I think that part I didn't quite get it. So do I avoid it and I intentionally, consciously start thinking about positive stuff? So I put myself in that vibrational state, or I actually just allow myself to like, oh, okay, I'm thinking this one. And I just let that thought to sit there and think about it.
That's also a great question. Okay, cool. There's multiple types of meditation, and I'll explain one of them. Phase 3 meditation allows you to go into the core of what you are and allow thoughts to come up. Those thoughts you need to deal with because they're internal. But if a guy cuts you off on the road and he's like, rude to you, don't let the thought of like, fuck that dude, and start getting in that. Those thoughts you allow to pass. The other thoughts that are inside of you, they're constructing you and even your physical body. Holding on and harboring those thoughts can make you cancerous and sick. So those thoughts need to be dealt with. But the thoughts that just pass through because the guy cut you off, you don't have to avoid them. Just reposition your mind back into like, okay, man, maybe his wife just left him. Like, oh man, blessings on him, or whatever. Master your mind so much to where you can control what you think about. But do know and keep it in mind that you can never master your mind until you understand the thoughts that are structuring you right now, that's layered inside of you. So I have you do a specific meditation where you go down and all these thoughts can come up. Self-sabotaging, hate, you'll never make it, you're a piece of shit, like you're a loser, nobody wants you, no man's going to be with you, no woman's going to cheat, blah, 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 all that shit. And you have to acknowledge those because those are the real thoughts. These things up here are just distractions. The guy cutting you off, he's just the materialization of that thing you're holding in here, which means that you believe you're worthy to be cut off and flicked off. He's only the respondent to what you're actually holding inside. So there's no use of having a thought here because it's cyclical and you'll keep going in a loop. But when you go and you see why you believe you're worthy to be cut off and all this other shit, and you actually deal with that, which is the whole other meditation, actually dealing with it. First, you got to even see it. But then you deal with it, you remove it, and you replace it with something else because there cannot be a void. There's no such thing as voids in reality. Nothing can exist. There, like the word nothing can't exist. There is no thing. There's only things. Everything's something. There is no such thing as no thing. No thing is no thing. There's nothing. So everything's always replaced and filled by something else. Everybody, everything, every particle in reality. So when you go in, you acknowledge these things that are inside of you. You make your way to the base of them. You replace them and all this other stuff. All of a sudden, instead of people cutting you off, now people actually move over and let you pass them. And it's a complete fucking change. And it's instantaneous. And you never had to do anything. You don't have to go talk to the guy. You don't have to go make it work. You don't have to convince him. He's like, you know what? Here, I'll move over to the side so you can pass me. So the person who was unlucky is now lucky. The person who's getting flicked off is now being allowed. It's a total life change. But if you go and try to argue with this guy, if you go and try to make him make you, let you in and all this other stuff, you're just distracting and you're wasting valuable time because it's all a reflection anyway. It's all coming up anyway. But you only have so much time because that time should have been spent acknowledging reality in the first place. You don't have the time to go argue or have that thought because you're dying, because you're not paying attention. So you got to hurry up and fix this shit so you can stop dying because you have bigger things to focus on. So you don't avoid the thought in per se, you just focus on the good, but you do embrace and acknowledge those thoughts that are deep down inside of you because they are making your reality. They are making your experience at least.
I think it's a very important topic in general because thinking negative thoughts can also be addictive. And I know also some people who are not even able to get out of bed without thinking negative stuff because this is what actually hypes them up to get up, mobilize themselves, have the energy to put themselves in that stressful state that actually carries them through life. So yeah, I think this requires a bit longer discussion to how exactly to navigate that. But one thing for sure, that the internal environment that we experience is as important, if not more important than the external, because that's exactly what's going to determine whether we have energy or we don't have energy. And then when we have that energy, then we are able to put ourselves into that harmonic state. And then with that harmonic state is the one that provides us the capability to tap into the things that we actually desire and we want in life. So I'm just trying to summarize it for myself as well, if I get it correctly.
One thing is there is no such thing as negative. Like really understand what terminology you use. There is no negative or positive, honestly. At the end of the day, that's why people struggle with negative thoughts because they actually believe in negative. But when you understand there's no such thing as negative, it's just a thought. And that thought is either leading you to where you want to go or moving you away from where you want to go. Because the negative thought for you might be a positive thought for somebody else. If they're super negative, your negative, in a sense, could be their positive because you're like, man, I didn't do good today, but I tried. And that's a negative thought for you. Their negative thought could be like, I want to fucking end it all. But if they had your negative thought in theirs, that would actually be like a super upgrade. So there's no such thing as positive. There's no such thing as negative. There simply just is. And it's either moving you to where you want to go or away from. And when you see it in that way, it's empowering because there's nothing actually holding you back but the way that you think about it. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no negative, there's no positive. There's just our ability to interpret it and extract from or use as avoidance to take us away or extract knowledge from it to move us towards where we desire to go. But even our desires aren't good. They're not good, they're not bad, they're there. There's no good desire, there's no bad desire, there's no good, there's no evil in a sense. Now, I don't believe in like hurting children or like stealing from people or robbing, but what I'm saying is everything is an amalgamation of our interpretation that disempowers us and traps us. When you understand there's no negative, you actually live a more positive life from the people who believe in positive.
Well, negative becomes negative because we are the ones who give the meaning to it. So the thought itself is a thought, but the moment we start judging them and we put a label on them, that's how they become negative itself. Because let's say that if I tell myself that, okay, you are stupid or you are smart, right? Like one of them has a more negative load and the other one has more of a positive load. But it's because I decided to label it as negative and decided to label it as positive.
Somewhat, yeah. That's pretty much it. But we think the positive is positive because we've associated positive with positive. I'm gonna get meta, okay? Like I'm gonna get meta for just like 1 second. But like positive is positive because we called it positive and we referenced it to that. But if positive was now switched, like the words, and now it was made to represent negative, then every time you heard positive, you'd actually think of bad stuff because positive represents the bad stuff. All these things are just what we associate with what we've experienced so far, but what we've experienced so far is associated with our definition of it or our lack of understanding. What I mean by that, you only call something, going back to negative, like negative is now negative now, but you only call something negative because you didn't get what you wanted. And because you stubbed your toe, ow, that's bad. Because you lost money, oh, that's negative. Because the person cut you off, oh, that's bad. Now you have an experience that you can tag to the word, but the word in itself means nothing. It's just what you've experienced so far. So all you're experiencing, this is where it gets super meta, all you're experiencing is your experience. So if you keep labeling those things as something, you don't change it because you just labeled it. Now, how to structure all this stuff? You have to understand there's no negative, there is no positive. There's simply what's coming out from you. And that thing that you called negative is what came from you. So you're only experiencing you. So even if you call that thing negative, you're calling yourself negative because you made it. You made the experience that you're experiencing in the moment. You got in the car. You started driving. You were doing this. You weren't paying attention. He got mad because you were driving 20 kilometers under the speed limit or 20 miles, and he passed you up. So you even manifested the situation to have the person cut you off and flip you off. Because you are making the experience that you're labeling to justify to say that it's real. Now, you need to probably a little bit of conscious energy to be able to interpret what I'm saying for the audience out there, but I'm sure that these people are very smart. But the very reason you have the word negative is because you created an experience to give it life. Negative is a symbol, N-E-G, negative, right? It's the symbols, little blocks. And we use those blocks to give us purpose. But those blocks would have no purpose unless we first create the experience. So the thing to do is to go in and see, why are we creating the experience that we're experiencing? And when we do that, we can make it only positive. Because there is no positive. The moment we say it's positive, we made it, we established it in reality. That thing happened. But if we give it no label, no name, no thing, and say, I create this experience, let me go in it to change it because I want a different experience, then that comes. The guy who sees the girl, the beautiful girl, and like, oh man, this is great. I'm going out with this beautiful girl now. 6 months later, 7 months later, they break up. Now he hates her. Now he's sad or depressed. So what is it, negative or positive? He made the experience. Oh, this is great. I got a new girlfriend. Yay. 8 months later, now they broke up. F that girl. Bro, was this a blessing or a curse? No, it's the worst thing ever happened, man. She did this and that and this. It's real the moment he labels it. Mm-hmm. And you put labels on something because remember, every conversation, like we said in our other podcast that we had, can go infinitely inward and infinitely outward. And that's why there's no actual good or bad, good or evil, or anything like that. But to the extent of your cognitive energy that you have to be able to process and interpret something, at that limit is where you put your definition. Once you put the definition, it's established, and it is in reality. Because you now said it. It was a probability until you labeled it. The label is only your own limitations to clarify and direct your own experience that you're creating from inside.
I love quite a few things that you mentioned here. First and foremost, the one thing that you said about to understand why we are creating the experience itself, right? Because we don't even understand it yet. Because the same thing can become the best thing that ever happened, but in the moment I would label it as negative. And the moment I label it, this is when it becomes real. So it reminds me to that story about the Chinese farmer. Have we talked about this?
I have heard it. It's a great story.
So there is this Chinese farmer with his son, and they have some horses at home. And one of the horse runs away, and then the villagers come and they say that, oh my God, that's so bad that the horse ran away. And the farmer says, maybe. Then after that, the son goes out and finds the horse, and the horse was hanging out with a bunch of other wild horses. And then when he captured the horse back, all of the wild horses came back home with him as well. Then the villagers came telling the farmer like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." And the farmer said, "Maybe." Then the son was trying to break in the horse and then fell off and broke his leg. Then the villagers came that, "Oh my God, that's so bad, such a bad luck." And the farmer said, "Maybe." Then after that, the military came trying to recruit individuals for the army, and they looked at the son. They saw that he broke his leg, and then he didn't recruit him, so he could stay at home. Then the villagers came like, "Oh, that's so lucky." And the farmer said, "Maybe." So the moral and the point of the entire story is that you don't know exactly if it's bad or good, if it's negative or positive, right? It's only thing what matters is the meaning that you give to it. So the moment you label it, this is when it becomes real.
It's a beautiful story, and I'm all with it. And even the thing that we're talking about is the next level of it. That farmer wanted to be suspended between maybe because he wants to be philosophical. He makes events that justifies his philosophy and how he believes. So he created the event where the horse leaves, but he finds more to where the son breaks his leg, but he's not recruited. So the farmer actually is the one making the event in the real time to even be perceived as wise. So the story would be told. Even to that next level and degree, yes, things come and happen only because we first initiated the sequence of the butterfly effect and everything else. Well, how would you ever perceive that? How would I know? Well, if you have enough cognitive energy, you can see the sequence of how these things are and you can start adjusting it. You won't know 100% what's going to happen, but you'll know 5% probability, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50. Your name's Susie. This is going to happen. That lady's going to spill her drink. She spills a drink. And everyone's like, are you psychic? No, you just understand the probability. That farmer actually created, manifested, and made the event where the horse ran away, where the people would come to him. All that stuff was the farmer anyway. And that's what we're saying in this. You made the event. So the moment, if the guy cuts you off and flicks you off, you made the event from the inside to happen. And then when you label it, now it's real. None of this is real. It's just the effect of what's being produced from the inside out. Not necessarily that it's like a mirror, but that your body will automatically gravitate towards the sequence of initiation that you made in yourself. But if you label it, you'll miss it because it was always you to begin with. But now that you know it's always you, you can make it whatever you want. You can grow muscles without working out. You can go 200 days without eating. You can have multiple love. You can do whatever you want. You won't know it overnight, but you'll slowly go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. You can have people think that you're 25 or whatever. So you got my hat here. So whenever I go out, like people think I'm like, they're like, hey dude, what's up? Like, how old are you? I'm like, oh, I'm almost 40. Like, I thought you were like 25, 20. Like, I have girls who are like 23 thinking that I'm 25 whenever I go on dates with them. I'm like, no, dude, like, I'm almost 40. They're like, what? So reversing age, growing hair back, doing this, if you can get to the root of the sequence and where it starts, you have the source code and you can change it from there and then changing it from there. You understand there's no reason to label. You could label whatever you want, but that's inadequate too. That's an antiquated way because you can just tap the code. And now instead of having negative, like, well, I'm labeling it negative, you can actually just change reality. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the deepest I've gone so far in that. But I also have everything I ever wanted, so like how deep you want to go.
I think we could continue this conversation pretty much forever. I can already see that the sun is setting on your end.
Yeah.
But so also just to kind of like wrap this up and give it a nice frame. And also speaking of stories. So
Yeah.
for someone who hears your story and feels a pull towards it, what do you think the first internal block should be for someone to examine if they would like to get into this state or have this type of life?
That is possible. And the moment you limit yourself, like if you hesitate, don't hesitate between the decision. Focus on why you hesitate to begin with. So like if you have two things like, should I do it, should I not? Don't focus on should I do it or should I not. Think, why am I hesitating? And if you start from there, you get past stuff so much, because it's never this or that. This is here just to expose where you are. This is not, every situation is not the issue. The situation is just there to expose the thing inside of you of how you react in the moment. The situation, once it happens, should I do this or that? Or why did that happen? Or what is this? What is this? The moment it exposes in you, don't look at the situation. There you are inside, and find it inside. And then from there, you can evolve a lot faster. You're going to evolve a lot faster if you don't have toxins. Don't have toxins, guys. Colognes, perfumes, sprays, deodorants, cologne, whatever, deterrent, like all this stuff, right? Fake nails, dyed hair, fake toothpaste, and all this other stuff. You're going to be able to get there a lot easier if you don't have things blocking your mental cognition. They calcifying your pineal gland or whatever, toxifying your brain, whatever, dude. Whatever you want to label that stuff. But if you don't have things that take life from you, you have more life to observe yourself. And if you want help with that, the guide is the step-by-step to get there. And if you want to have a community, the Discord's where it's at. And if you want help with it, I'm in the Discord community and I help people there. I'm there all the time giving, Adam, you and I have, on my record, I have like 2 hours and 58 minutes that we've been talking. So that's a long time. For somebody who hasn't eaten in like 200 plus days, to be able to speak this coherently after this long of a time without, depletion, I'm telling you, there's higher ways. But we have stuff like this. I have over 8,000 messages just like this that I've sent in that community that people listen to over and over again to get this, because it's not a grasping. And I'll end with this. It's not like, okay, A plus B equals C. 1 plus 2 equals 3. It's not that. It's that you become it, and you don't need the math. You don't need the formula. You don't try to logically think, okay, this plus that is this. Yes, you still use logic. Yes. If something, drops, I'll clean it. Or if I need to take a left-hand turn, I'll put my blinker on. Yes, there's still logical things to do. But the fundamental root of all this isn't the approach from logic. It's the expression from what's been sown, and it does it automatically. So when you read these words or listen to this podcast like 6 times, you'll just become it, and you'll wake up one day and you'll be saying the same stuff because it's so innate in you now that these words washed over you. Words that are used vocally are the energetic sequence of the feeling of what that is, and it vibrates inside of you and it shapes you. That's why you listen to these things over and over again. Even if you don't listen to the podcast consciously, but you have it playing in the background, I urge you guys, listen to this over and over. Listen to this for the next year. Listen to this for 2026, 2027, 2028. Your life will never be the same, because every word has resonance when it has an attached meaning to it of a feeling, positive, negative, like I talked about earlier. And just by having it playing, it will change you. And then you will wake up one day and you will be a completely different person just by proxy, just by being around the words being said. If you're in a household, they're always negative, right? Negative, like, oh, you're a piece of shit. That person will live the expression of what we consider negativity. But if you live around, man, this is an expansive conversation, your life will be bigger than Jupiter. It'll be humongous.